Are you interested in starting a career in Amazon? Joshua Schmidt, recruiter of Amazon Returnship Program, has important insights to share with y'all. As a former Army National Guard and law enforcement chaplain, Joshua understands the unique challenges you may face as you leap into the next career move, calling forth all future Amazonians. And this conversation will be moderated by Wendy Walker. Please welcome Wendy and Joshua.
Great to be here.
Great to have you here. I will pass it over to Wendy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hunter. And Josh, thank you so much for joining today to tell us about the Amazon Returnship Program. I know you have a lot of information to share with us, so the floor is yours. I'm going to pass it over to you. I know you had some information you wanted to run through, so we're excited to learn more.
Thank you so much, Wendy. I'm excited to be here. So I'll go ahead and select my, let's see here. It's not allowing me. There we go. All right, perfect. Can you guys see my screen here?
Yes, we can.
The presentation. All right, perfect. So Amazon Returnship, something near and dear to my heart. You know, it's an amazing program. I'll run through my slides and then we can certainly take questions at the end. This we're really looking for, you know, our thought is life happens and that's okay. People have numerous reasons why they are underemployed or unemployed for 12 months or more period of time. And that's really what we're looking for qualifications for our Amazon Returnship programs. And, you know, there's different reasons, right? Parents, caregivers, people that take time off for self-care, trailing spouses and partners, immigrants. There's definitely a lot of reasons out there why people have gaps in their employment. And, you know, it really is an opportunity to improve the way we recruit and support the community. And it's a 16-week program. It's paid, it's virtual, and it's a temporary opportunity with full-time potential within Amazon. I think this is especially pertinent to the veteran community and the military spouse community. Maybe you've moved or you know, relocated, and it's hard to kind of have a consistent career. And so I think it would certainly be applicable to that audience, and we're really focused on moving that forward. So a little bit about myself. I've been doing recruiting for 16 years. Again, was in the Army National Guard previously for 8 years. Really, that's near and dear to my heart. Really enjoyed that. Understand what it's like to transition from military into a career. And just recently came to Amazon about 4 months ago, I think now, and it's been an incredible change for me. I'm so impressed. Primarily been a consultant throughout my career, so saw a lot of the good, bad, and the ugly out there from companies, and Amazon's just an incredible organization. I'll certainly encourage you to check out our returnship program and our other opportunities that might be pertinent to you. So more about the program, you know, the structure is 16 weeks. It's 100% remote, really structured work environment. So you're going to have, you know, focused projects that you're working on and a project plan and work assignments. There's going to be a mentor that's assigned to you for mentorship. You're going to have a peer onboarding buddy, and you're going to spend that time ramping up your skills and polishing your abilities. Also acclimating to Amazon. Which is really cool. And then at the end, you know, based on sort of where you're at in the program, you'll be given the opportunity to interview on a full-time position within the company. So the areas that we're really focused on right now for returnships, and this is growing on a daily basis, but for technical roles, we're looking for engineers, prior engineers, or technical program managers. Non-technical roles, you know, financial analysts, accountants, business analysts, program managers, product managers. Really, the similarities are here. 1.2 years of work experience or 1.3 years of work experience, bachelor's or equivalent work experience, and then technical expertise for our technical roles, and then strong written and verbal communication and advanced Excel skills for a lot of our non-technical roles. But again, this is growing. It's been well accepted throughout Amazon, and we have tremendous growth plans for 2022. So our interview process, it's an abbreviated Amazonian interview process. So it begins with a phone interview, which is behavioral questions about Amazon leadership principles and questions about your skill set, tools, and technologies. And then there'll be a couple of video interviews, or we call them on-site interviews. So that's behavioral questions about Amazon leadership principles and questions about your skill set, tools, and technology. After those interviews, a decision is made. And again, that's a shorter process than traditionally we have for our full-time roles. So our leadership principles are really important to Amazon. Something that's been very appealing to me as I've kind of worked there and saw those values both articulated and practiced by the leadership that I've been exposed to. But they really used our leadership principles every day. And whether discussing ideas for new projects or deciding on the best approach to solve a problem, you know, and there'll be questions asked like, tell me about a time when, or how did you handle it? Did you demonstrate Amazon leadership principles in that action during your interview process? That will be asked. For example, customer obsession. Leaders start with the customer and work backwards. They work vigorously to earn and keep customer trust. Although leaders pay attention to competitors, they obsess over customers. Gives you a little bit of insight. So general interviewing tips, interviewer focuses on basic qualifications, your potential based on prior performance, your demonstration of Amazon leadership principles, STAR method, which is situation, task, action, and result. As you move through this process, we'll prep you on this. And then, how to answer, be specific, ask questions, be tactful, and take ownership. Technical role tips. So technical roles are a little bit tougher as far as they are going to be very technical. And you shouldn't worry about resume gaps, but you list your years of experience, roles, and responsibilities. Certainly think out loud, think collaboratively is really important also. Non-technical roles, things that stand out to me is really wanting to see your career progression prior to taking a career pause. Include any courses you might have taken during your pause to reskill. And I would encourage you right now, if you're interested in something really piqued your interest, in one of our returnship job categories, to go ahead and search out. There's a lot of free courses out there and things that you can build up on your resume that you can start today that might be pertinent to that and show that you're retraining or interested in getting back in the market. List your education, years of experience, and responsibilities held. And when interviewing, we want to hear how you can solve complex problems, partner with colleagues, and make an impact. Answer the questions directly and be able to speak to the data and tell us how you get from point A to point B. You can find roles and apply amazon.jobs/returnships. This is a great landing page. So it tells more about the program and has all the links to the positions that we have. So really appreciate your attention today and listening to my presentation. I'll certainly turn it over to you, Wendy, and allow you to take it from here. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, thanks for that overview of the Returnship Program at Amazon. That sounds like a great opportunity. And I know that there's so many open roles available now, so a lot of opportunities. Particularly for our summit today, we have a lot of veterans and military spouses in the audience. So I wanted to ask, particularly, how do you think this type of returnship program or kind of exposure to Amazon could really benefit veterans or military spouses that are perhaps returning to the workforce?
Absolutely. I think it's an opportunity to get your foot in the door with a tremendous company with a lot of job potential. And, it really, I think the biggest hurdle with veterans or the military community is kind of transitioning and redescribing their skill set in corporate American terms that are going to be well received by hiring managers and help them obtain an interview. So, I think that this is a tremendous opportunity to really look at those job descriptions. If you see something that may potentially be of interest that you think that you may have the skill set for, I would look at the job description and kind of readdress your resume and tailor it to that position description. And in doing that, the resume is really to procure an interview, which people I think people kind of tend to overlook that. But I think that would be time well spent and an opportunity to get your foot in the door, interview with Amazon, come in on a return ship. You think about it, it's a runway. It's a runway that helps you to slowly get off the ground. Amazon hires for basically exceeds the bar expectations for their full-time roles. And so it's really hard to come in without a lot of pertinent experience or the corporate experience. And meet that exceeds the bar criteria. But we love the veteran community. We're heavily invested in hiring veterans. I have colleagues that's all they do within Amazon, as well as the military spouse community. We love to help our veterans, and we've made commitments to hire a certain amount of veterans, and we're excited about that.
That's amazing. That's great to hear about Amazon's commitment to veterans, military spouses. And I love the analogy of the returnship program as a runway. I wanted to touch on, you mentioned your experience in the Army National Guard. And one piece of advice you gave is kind of translating that experience into the kind of corporate world. Do you have any tips for the military community that might be working on their resumes right now, and how to, communicate that past experience into more corporate lingo?
Absolutely. I think that I would just start with the job description of something that you are interested in applying to. If it lists out leadership, potential, management experience, think about areas where you've led. Think about, if you're in the cavalry and you've handled, multi-million dollars worth of equipment, think about that, put that in perspective, equate that, with a dollar amount, and add responsibility for this, $1 million piece of equipment or whatever it is. I think really conscientiously absorbing the job description and trying to translate your military experience into pertinent examples that meet that criteria. At least 3 or 4 different key points that stand out to you in the job description is very beneficial. I think that the atmosphere within Amazon is that they're very attracted to the veteran community, and they make great employees. So the work ethic that's established in military service is almost unsurpassed, right? The dedication that it takes to do well, and when applicable to the corporate environment, they make tremendous hires, and there's a lot of loyalty within that community to whatever corporation they've joined. And I've been involved in these programs in the past. So I think that's a big thing. And then bouncing it off the recruiter. So if you did get a screening call with the recruiter, talk to them about how you can make your resume a little bit better if you have questions. And I'm certainly available. I would love to help anybody and everyone really kind of get their foot in the door. So
that's amazing. Thank you for that offer of help. And I think that's always a great practice to rely on your recruiter as, an ally and someone that can help you out in the process. So we have a question from the audience I'd love to bubble up. So Terry asks, are the returnships remote, and will relocation be required after the returnship if you accept a position?
Oh, that's a great question. So yes, 100% of our returnships are remote. So for those 16 weeks, you'll be remote, and you can be anywhere in the United States, and work on a returnship. As far as at the end of that returnship, and it's important to note, so for every returnship, there's a full-time opportunity set aside for that returner to interview on during the process of the returnship. Usually it's the last half. And then they interview for that full-time role. If that team's a virtual team, then they'll continue to be remote if they're hired onto that team or given that job slot. If it is based in Seattle or Nashville or what have you, then they would need to relocate to that area based on the manager's preference. So right now within Amazon, the managers have preference on whether or not they're going to continue to keep their teams remote. And so just being available for that. And that's something that's discussed on the front end, right? We ask for a 1-year commitment to that team if given a full-time opportunity. And then there's lots of other roles within Amazon that you can transition to, and a lot of people have.
That's amazing. That's great to hear that there's some flexibility. And I know with a company as large as Amazon, there's, multiple locations across the US. So that's a benefit as well. I want to touch on a little bit, Josh. It sounds like your time at Amazon has really been rewarding for you. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about the company cultural generally and how you felt kind of joining Amazon and being part of the culture there.
Absolutely. Incredibly humbled and blessed really sums up my initial feelings coming into the opportunity. It's always been a dream of mine when I moved into technology recruiting to work for one of the big tech firms, and Amazon certainly is a standout in that area. There is a massive amount of information that's available within Amazon. So there's a little bit, first couple weeks, you're kind of overwhelmed with all the training. It's second to none. In the world. I really believe they have some of the best training, and you're investing in yourself by being a part of Amazon. And whether you stay here or not, it's going to be invaluable to you. My exposure prior to joining Amazon was that working with other companies, I knew prior Amazon employees commanded a tremendous amount of compensation. There was a lot of demand in the market for them. And in coming into Amazon, I understand why. The other portion of that is that being here for the time that I have been exposed to a lot, I'm really excited about continuing to be with Amazon. So they have such a great story and tools and training, and my colleagues are amazing. They really work with a lot of heart, and that's really important in this marketplace right now. People, they're calling it the great resignation. People are changing jobs all the time and following their passion, and don't have the commitment that maybe they did in the past, or obligations with all the remote work. There's so many more opportunities, and so I think that if you have an opportunity to get into Amazon, you'll be really impressed. And although it's a massive company, our different teams, depending on what team you are, operate as a small little business within the organization, and there's lots of camaraderie, and people really care about your success.
I love that. Oh, that's great to hear about the camaraderie and the small little team within the wider organization. I'm sure that really helps. Having gone through the application and selection process yourself at Amazon, do you have any additional tips for someone who may be thinking of applying either to a full-time position at Amazon or perhaps specifically for the Returnship Program?
Absolutely. If you come through the Returnship Program, one of my colleagues or myself will provide you with a lot of links to material to study up on our leadership principles and competencies and those sorts of things. I would encourage you to do a Google search. If you are not, working with the recruiter for returnship, although there will be a recruiter prep for anybody in any position, I would encourage you to start to search Google for Amazon interview tips, leadership principles and competencies for Amazon, and begin to think of really scenarios that you've experienced in the workforce that would be applicable. Like one of our leadership principles is earns trust. Right. So you would think of a scenario when, maybe you were in the field or downrange, and you had to earn the trust really quickly of colleagues or subordinates, or your cadre. So, I think it's really important to study, right? To study going into it, because there is a very scientific methodology to the process, and you want to be prepared. And then make notes. We encourage everybody, make notes. If you need, if you've been out of the work for a little while, a year or more. For me, it's kind of hard to remember stuff. I'm getting older. So I write everything down, and there's nothing wrong with referring to those notes when you're in that interview process.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the customer success manager here at Power to Fly for Amazon, and thinking back to my Power to Fly interview, taking notes, practicing in front of the mirror, running through it with, my family at home. So it always, kind of helps to do that run through and, practice ahead of the all important interview day. So, definitely share that sentiment on, making sure you're prepared for the interview.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. One more question, and I know we didn't discuss this too much, but, at Power to Fly, we are, really founded on the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. There with your role as a technical recruiter at Amazon, do you have any insights on, how Amazon really implements these values within your organization?
Yeah. As far as a specific example, I mean, I just see it in the day to day of everything that I do. So everybody, you see people with backbone that have a strong opinion, that commit to the process, even if they don't think that it's the best process maybe at the moment, but they make their point. People are trustworthy. They really operate with heart. And I think that that's just bleeds through everything that happens within Amazon. Those principles aren't just something that's kind of pulled from thin air. It's actually based on a tremendous amount of research and investment that Amazon's done into what makes business successful. And it really makes you a better person too. I tell you what, it's just so impressive to see alignment with some of those leadership principles and competencies with things that I have learned in my career, are personally developed over the years, and or was instilled in me as a young person. And to see those played out on a daily basis, people be held accountable for those, creates this really great environment that I think you'd really enjoy.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that about the culture there. Awesome. So we have just a couple more minutes. We have another question from the audience. So let's get this last question in. The Amazon Returnship Program, is this the right program for someone who's had a lot of gaps in their career? Would you consider this a good point of initiation?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're looking for primarily is 12 months or more of unemployment or underemployment before applying to the returnship position. Other gaps that are explainable in your resume is certainly fine as well. Everybody has, life happens, and some of the stories are just incredible of people. Someone was off for years because they were diagnosed with cancer, and then it went to remission, and then they came back. We've had people that have been unemployed for 10 years or more that have come in and hit the ground running. And so I definitely encourage you to apply if you feel like you match the skill set that we're looking for. And then we'll just kind of cross that bridge when we come to it, and talk to you and figure out what the best plan is for yourself. And if it's not a fit right now, we'll tell you the tools or things that we feel would help you to get your foot in the door. But there's tons of opportunities at Amazon, and again, as the returnship program expands across the board, there'll be other job families that will come up that pretty much will fit almost anybody out there in the marketplace with varied backgrounds. So take hope. 2022 is right around the corner, and we're aggressively expanding the program.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and really double down on that sentiment. It's don't be too scared to apply. And I think right. Especially sometimes as a woman, we sometimes get intimidated, like, oh, maybe I don't meet all of these requirements. Mm-hmm. Well, if you meet 60% of them, if you've got a big chunk of them, go for it, so it's
absolutely
kind of getting over that fear that I know I've definitely had in my career.
Absolutely. If I could just interject real quick, so the other thing I would say, if you get an interview or some interviews and for some reason you're not selected, get back on the horse, right? Try it again for a different team. But I would certainly, there's so many stories of people that have interviewed, not got selected, and then came back, and their second or third try was the one that was successful in getting hired. So I would strongly encourage you not to lose heart, but to continue to try, grow from each experience.
Wonderful. And one more question for the audience, I think we have time for. What would you say are some of the advantages of the returnship program when it comes to the skills that it offers for individual development?
Yeah, I think it's unsurpassed by anything I've seen in the marketplace. So it gives you an opportunity to learn the team that potentially you're going to be hired full time into. The mentorship is unmatched for both your designated, job family and just unlimited upward mobility for these roles and exposure to more training than you could probably absorb in a lifetime for free. So every day I feel like when I begin my work that I'm adding value to both my career and into my personal life by the things I'm exposed to within Amazon. And I think most people would feel the same way because there's such a variety. It's such a large organization that it seems like there's something for everyone, and it's constantly evolving and growing and looking for ways to diversify our employee base as well as meet their needs and continue to assimilate with the culture as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for that detail. And, so much to be said for really kind of learning skills on the job and through a program like this. So we're getting close to the time where we need to wrap up. And so, Josh, our audience probably has more questions about the Returnship Program where can they get more information? How should they reach out to you or your team with any follow-up questions they might have?
Absolutely. So there are links on our Returnship page, as well as you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I can put my LinkedIn email in the chat here, so it's available to everybody. Actually, I'll just put in my email. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me. Ping me with any questions that you have, and I'll be more than happy to connect with you. I would say that within reason. So we just are inundated with applicants right now for the job families that I'm supporting, but I will get your email eventually. So if it takes me a week or so, please be patient with me, but I'll do the best I can to get back to you.
Awesome.
Or point you in the right direction.
Yeah. And we definitely respect your time and know it's a very busy time of year for everyone. Awesome. Well, Josh, thank you so much for your participation today in the Veterans and Military Spouses, the last chapter of our Diversity Reboot Summit this year. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you and learning more about the Amazon Returnship Program. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time and the exposure. I really appreciate it. Look forward to hearing from the audience. Take care.